Hi everybody, my name is Cole and welcome to my show. So first of all, let me just apologize for how boomy it sounds in here. We just moved into a brand new house and we have yet to put any furniture down. So that will also explain some of the tacky wallpaper and clothy things around these old windows. So that'll change hopefully sooner rather than later. But until then, my apologies and let's get started. And of course, like always, if you like this video, please hit the like button and leave me a comment and let me know what questions you might have about the video, what suggestions you might have for future videos, anything you'd like me to discuss in the future about social media marketing, and all that good stuff is always well appreciated. And lastly, if you like this kind of content and want to see more of it, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to post as often as I possibly can, and having more subscribers definitely encourages me and gets me excited about posting more and more videos. So that's always appreciated as well. And with that, let's get started. So if you're watching this video, you're probably a business owner to some extent. And when I say business owner, I don't mean like you have to have 50 employees or 20 employees or really any employees besides yourself. You could be a musician where your business is just you and your music, and you're trying to get more followers or more people to listen to your music. Or let's say you are a small business owner with employees. This video is going to go in depth whether you are that musician or that small business owner or anything in between, and talk about how you can use social media to your advantage in 2021. So I think everybody knows by now social media is going to be here to stay, and it's only going to become more and more impactful to our day-to-day lives as time goes on. I've worked for TikTok, I've worked for Facebook, and let me just tell you, over the past years, it's only become more and more important and integral to not only the everyday person's life, but also to businesses and how they run their business. More and more businesses are starting to transition over to more of an e-commerce thing if you're selling a specific product, or putting more attention, more advertising dollars, just more energy into social media because they're seeing the benefits of it. And a lot of businesses have used social media as their storefront. A lot of people exist solely on their social media platforms, and that's how they conduct their business. All of these options are totally possible for any business owner if you understand how social media works and how to capitalize on it now rather than later to grow your business and become more and more successful on the digital landscape. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 5 most important platforms to use for your business, how they differ, and what they should be used for in my business strategy and what I believe is the most beneficial way to get the most bang for your buck, for your time, efforts, and for your money if you decide to use digital advertising. So the first platform I always talk about whenever I'm giving any kind of consultation or presentation is Facebook. And that's because I really view it as the social network. It kind of started everything. I mean, there was MySpace before Facebook and a couple other different social media-esque products that existed on the market, but Facebook really took the world by storm, right? And I believe right now Facebook has about 2.5 billion users. So that really just goes to show you how grand of a scale Facebook is on. But also Facebook being around the longest out of the 5 that I'm going to be talking about today, it has changed dramatically. So especially if you've been on Facebook as a user since, 2008, 2009, something like that, and you're just trying to get into the Facebook space as a business, you're going to see it looks completely different from when you first got involved as just a standard person with a profile. And that's going to keep happening. These social media platforms change all the time, and that's why it's really important to stay up to date on these little changes when it becomes advantageous to do something different than you've done it before. And really just staying on top of all that is really just going to benefit you as you use social media to grow your business. Facebook has probably the most interesting algorithm, I think, out of all of the platforms I'm going to talk about today. And that's because I think that they've had so much time to grow it and learn from it and switch from growing their platform bigger and bigger to now more of a retaining their user standpoint. So they're going to be very, very peculiar, and their algorithm is going to be very, very specific, and it's going to either punish or promote your content. And the first question you have to ask yourself when you're trying to figure out what should I be doing on a social media platform is, what does that social media platform want me to do? Because you have rules on each platform and you have algorithms that dictate how well you're going to do on that platform. And so if your goal is to do as well as possible, then you're going to want to understand what they want you to do and follow those footsteps in order to achieve better reach, better impressions, more clicks to your website if that's what you're looking for, and just overall trying to get the most bang for your buck on each platform. And Facebook has a very, very specific rule set. So in 2018, Facebook dramatically shifted their algorithm, especially as it pertains to business page owners, which would most likely apply to everybody watching this video. So in 2018, they said that they want to focus their platform on meaningful social interactions. Now, what does that mean? Well, what it means is that Facebook understood that the more people were on the platform, the more people had businesses on the platform, it was becoming more and more spammy. And Facebook doesn't want to exist as a giant place to go see a bunch of commercials. Nobody wants to see that, and that would lead people away from Facebook, going to other competitors. Facebook didn't want that, so they took a stand and said, hey, we're going to focus on meaningful social interactions. And to do that, they decided to change basically what would show up on your feed using their algorithms. So they changed their feed to show you more and more of what Facebook thought you would want to see. So in order to show up on somebody's feed, you were most likely had to be somebody that the person had engaged with often before, went onto their profile often before, maybe was related to them. That would help as well. Facebook understood that when you're on Facebook, you want to see friends and family's posts, not business posts, unless that business had really, really captivated you in the past, which is where we're going with the algorithm today. So we understand that Facebook wants to see more meaningful social interaction, and we get a sense of what that is. How do you do that as a business? Well, you basically have to say, what are most people doing on these platforms that Facebook thinks are good things, which is being a person. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but that is really the easiest explanation for what Facebook wants you to do. Facebook wants you to be human. Facebook doesn't want you to be a robot that puts out ads every 5 seconds, that posts, and when I say ads, I'm not even referring to paying money. I'm saying you post a piece of content and it's just a link to your website that says, hey, new sale on sunglasses or something like that. Facebook doesn't want that because they know that their viewers don't want that. They know that their users, I should say, don't want that on the platform. So instead, the businesses that see the most benefit on Facebook are the businesses that create good, engaging, entertaining content on Facebook. And they don't just try to convert every second they get. Instead, they focus on reaching more and more people, getting more and more eyes to see their content on Facebook. And that way, people can watch their content, it'll show up more and more often. And the more often somebody sees something show up on their Facebook feed, the more likely they are to engage with it and click on it. Or go to your website and see what all these posts are talking about if they've seen like 10 of them in the past like 20 days. So on Facebook, you want to be creating content that's focused on engaging with people and that's focused on being entertaining, giving something back to the user. That's something that's really going to benefit you on Facebook. Instead of caring about posting every single day a link to your website to try to get 1 or 2 people, instead try to create a video that's seen by hundreds of people, or an interesting photo that a lot of people like and people comment on. Getting engagement on Facebook is like gold, because that shows Facebook that people care about your content even though you are a business page. And then they're going to start to show your content to more and more people as time goes on, and it's going to grow your page so that you are getting a lot of great conversions without actually trying to push people into buying a product in every post. Okay, so next I want to talk about Instagram. Instagram is definitely the runner-up, I think, in terms of the biggest social media platforms right now. Of course, you have other platforms that are growing faster, TikTok, but we'll get to them in a second. Instagram, it has really taken a lot of Facebook's audience, especially when you look at millennials. Millennials have really started to shift over to Instagram from Facebook in order to get their, communication with their friends and see what's going on with their family and things like that. And I think a lot of that reason is because Instagram gives you fewer options. Now, that has slowly started to change as time has gone on, and of course you probably know that Instagram is now owned by Facebook, but initially it wasn't. Instagram had a lot fewer options. It was more photo and video oriented, and that kind of made Instagram an easier platform to quickly jump into, see kind of what your friends and family are up to, and then go about your day. And that worked really well because Facebook obviously saw Instagram as enough of a threat to where they purchased Instagram. So their algorithm benefits you from posting a little bit more. Facebook is way more oriented about quality over quantity, and Instagram, you care about both. So Instagram's algorithm is really, really sophisticated to the point where they can see basically the kinds of content that you're viewing. If it's a picture, if you like a bunch of pictures of people painting, like art on canvases and things like that, their algorithm can kind of detect that. And when somebody else posts something that's similar to that, somebody else drawing on a canvas or anything that's kind of related to the kind of stuff that you watched in the past, they'll be able to figure out that that is likely to be something you'll be interested in and show it on your feed, even if you're not necessarily following that page. So Instagram is a great one-a-day social media platform. And what I mean by that is in order to optimize your engagement and your reach and your impressions on Instagram specifically, you really should be posting every day. And when I say posting, I don't mean stories. Stories you should do literally whenever you possibly can. There is no downside to having a lot of stories. Stories are a great way to capture somebody's attention, especially if your audience is very infrequently on the platform. If you're constantly trying to fight for a spot on someone's feed to be seen, maybe you should go a story route. Maybe you should go into creating more and more stories, and that way you can kind of jump to the front of the line. So as far as Instagram is concerned, they want you to be posting a lot, and they want you to be posting good content that engages with your following. Now you also have the added benefit of hashtags. And hashtags are exactly what they sound like. They're tags that basically tells Instagram and viewers what your content is about. So don't go off using a million hashtags that have nothing to do with the content you're creating. Instead, you want to create very, very niche and relative hashtags to the kind of content that you're posting. And I already put up a video about how to use Instagram hashtags in 2021, so definitely check that out if you're interested. But essentially, you want to post once a day on the Instagram feed, use relevant hashtags, and for an added bonus, you really want to use as many stories as possible. So stories work in a really interesting way because they have their own algorithm. Basically, whenever somebody sees your story, they're not going to see the most recent story you've posted. They're going to see the most recent story you posted that they haven't seen yet. So a great strategy to use on Instagram for stories is to always, in the beginning of your day, post something on your story that's something that you really want your viewers to see. So if it's an offer, if it's something, some kind of lead magnet sending people to a website, then you want to post that first thing in the day, and then periodically throughout the day, you're going to want to post other stuff. Now that other stuff can be anything. I always recommend more fun content, more engaging content, but really quantity is the key here when it comes to Instagram stories. And why is that? It's because every single time somebody goes on to their Instagram, they're going to see a most recent post show up at the very top of the screen. But when they click on your post, they're not going to see that story that put your story in the very front of their page. They're going to see the most recent one that you've posted that they haven't seen yet. So you can really force all of your users to always see your most important story by posting stories throughout the day and making sure your most important story is put first. All right, next we have TikTok, and it's a doozy. So TikTok has been all over the news lately. Everyone's got an opinion about it. Basically, it replaced Vine, which was hugely popular a few years back, and they've kind of run away with it, going a lot farther than Vine ever did, in my opinion. Now, whether you kept up with politics and you feel like TikTok might be here to stay or might be going away, time will tell. But in the meantime, it is a hugely important app that you should be on 100%, especially for branding purposes. For converting a follower into a customer, it might not be as strong as like LinkedIn or Facebook. However, in terms of branding and just getting your image out there, there is no parallel to TikTok right now. And that's because it's so new. They're very interested in becoming the top performer in the social media world. And believe me, I worked there. That is what they care about. So the best way to grow very quickly is to encourage people to watch their videos, of course, and also encourage people to post more videos. So the more people who are interested in TikTok and they go on and make an account and start posting on it, they are gonna bring their friends and family over time onto the platform too. So it's a very strong marketing strategy that TikTok has, and they basically just let their algorithm kind of go to the wayside in order to get people more and more views, keep them interested, and to show them content that they want to see. And to be fair to the other platforms, it's easier to do that on TikTok because it's more short form videos. You're gonna find a lot more 15, a lot more 20-second videos on TikTok than you would on Facebook or Instagram. And so you can get through more videos as time goes on. The nice thing about that is that TikTok can show you 100 videos in the time it would take Facebook or Instagram to show you, 4 or 5 or 6, depending on what kind of videos you're watching. And when that happens, TikTok can get a faster analysis and a more accurate analysis of the kind of content you're interested in. So how does this pertain to your business on TikTok? Well, again, if you're very worried about conversions, I would focus probably more on a Facebook and LinkedIn. However, if you're trying to get more reach and just trying to get your brand image out there, you need to be posting on TikTok. And honestly, the more often, the better. Right now, I really don't see a downside to posting as often as you physically can on TikTok, as long as it's good content. So you'll see people on TikTok of all different kinds of professions. You'll see surgeons, you'll see lawyers, you'll see plumbers, you'll see handymen. You'll see every kind of profession on that platform. And they're gonna get crazy exposure right now if they're posting interesting content and they're posting frequently enough. And at the end of the day, you're never going to see more exposure than you are right now on TikTok. That's only gonna go away and become harder and harder as more and more people get on TikTok, more and more people are producing content, and it becomes harder and harder to get seen by your niche audience. But long story short, just move as fast as you can on TikTok, create good content, consume a lot of content, learn about the platform. It's very new, so they're kind of making it up as they go, and that's the best time to get in at that ground level so you can build a big audience and then eventually convert it into audiences on other platforms too. That's a real good way to grow your business starting with TikTok. All right, the next platform to talk about is YouTube. And YouTube has a really interesting relationship with TikTok because you see basically what I was talking about happening in real time. A lot of people are creating big audiences on TikTok and then they're converting them into audiences on YouTube. And why is that? Well, the answer to that is that YouTube has a very robust platform for their creators. You can make a ton of money just on YouTube alone. And I would say that the potential to make money purely on that platform is better than any other platform, just for that sole objective of making money completely on YouTube. It's really just because YouTube works just like Google, and that's partly because Google owns YouTube. But YouTube is the most SEO-friendly platform that exists right now. That means that it's more of a search engine than any other platform is. You have these other platforms that really kind of show you what they think you want to see. But YouTube's built differently. It's built way more like the Google search engine, where they'll let you look for your own content. As you're on YouTube more and more, your front page will learn what you're interested in and only show you those things so that you're more likely to stay on the platform longer, which remember is every social media platform's goal. And at the end of the day, the way YouTube is set up, it just creates an environment that's really easy to have a financial relationship with your creators. Now, you can't just immediately jump onto YouTube and start creating content and making money. You do have to have around 1,000 subscribers and a certain amount of hours of watch time. I don't quite remember off the top of my head, until your videos can become monetized. And that will mean that you'll start to see ads in your videos, and those ads will give you money depending on how often they play and to how many people. But YouTube's really great if you have a lot of source material as a business to create long-form content. I mean, if you're a lawyer and you want to talk about these things in law that maybe a lot of people don't understand, but that would be very beneficial to them, that could be really interesting content. And that educational content works really well on YouTube because they see that as really good quality. But YouTube does take a lot of work because you have to do a lot of editing and things like that. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't worry too much about YouTube unless you already have a lot of great source material, a lot of great recording equipment, and things like that. You can really see a lot of benefit from using YouTube, but you have to put in a lot of hours to even start to see that show up. And lastly, we have LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, of course, I think everyone's got an opinion about it. It's really, the way I see it, it's just the professional version of Facebook. The nice thing about LinkedIn is that they actually exist a lot like how Facebook did, but 5-6 years ago. So their algorithm is a lot like Facebook's, except it's not nearly as restrictive, in my opinion. So when you go onto LinkedIn, you can get a lot more organic interaction, a lot more organic views. That basically just means views without having to pay any money than you can on Facebook for the same amount of content, generally speaking. Now, the best way to present yourself on LinkedIn is still to be professional, but that doesn't mean that you need to create ads. And I would argue that unless you're paying money to put an ad on a platform, your content should not look like an ad. And even if you are paying money to create an ad, the best performing ads don't look like ads. They look like fun posts. So basically for LinkedIn, I would post every single day. And I would try to make it a little bit more educational, a little bit more professional, that will appeal to the audience that exists on LinkedIn. And especially for those of you who have B2B businesses, LinkedIn is huge. You should be getting all of your clientele from LinkedIn if that's the case. Businesses are on LinkedIn. They feel that's the most important platform to be on. I would argue it's probably not the most important platform, but if you're trying to sell to other businesses, maybe it is. You're going to have a lot easier time communicating and engaging with people in a straightforward manner if you're a business talking to another business, because that's what they're expecting on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's kind of more of a psychology play in my opinion. When you go on LinkedIn, you're in a professional mindset. Even if you also have an Instagram and a Facebook and a TikTok, you are on LinkedIn to be professional. So you're kind of in a different state than you would be normally, and that opens up a whole slew of possibilities. Basically, I think the most important thing on LinkedIn is the most important thing on all other platforms. Just be consistent. At the end of the day, if you're taking anything from this video, go onto a platform and just be consistent. I would much rather you go onto Facebook or go onto Instagram or go onto TikTok and only be on that one platform and do it really, really well than try to be on a million platforms at one time and not really do well on any of them. Social media management and digital marketing are becoming more and more important for small businesses right now. And so as time goes on, you're going to find that you're going to get a lot more benefit out of advocating more and more time to learn these platforms and to action on them. So especially if you're starting off, I would say pick a platform that you think best applies to your business and the one that you think you could be very, very effective on, and run with it. Focus on that platform, and then as time goes on, once you start to nail that, focus on other platforms, and you'll start to see a bigger return on your time investment than under any other marketing platform. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you like this video, hit the like button and leave me a comment if maybe you'd like me to explain something in more detail, or if basically I missed something that you would like to be talked about one of those platforms. And of course, if you want to see more videos that talk about social media management and digital marketing, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting a lot more on here talking about all the questions that you guys might have. So thank you guys so much for watching and have a great day.